Hello, friends and fellow board gamers. Welcome back to another episode of Board Games with Rob. In this video, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk about an experience I had several weeks ago, about a half a month ago. I'm recording this in the middle of July 2025, and the very end of June, in fact, June 26th through 29th, there was a local board game convention in Overland Park, Kansas. Now, I live in Olathe, Kansas, which borders Overland Park, and both Olathe and Overland Park are suburbs of Kansas City. And a lot of people, when they hear Kansas City, they automatically think Kansas. In fact, it was a running joke not too long ago with our president during a Super Bowl. And anyway, I'm not going to go down that road, but there is a Kansas City, Kansas, and a Kansas City, Missouri. And there's always some friendly competition between the two. The actual stadiums are on the Missouri side, and we've got we've got the Speedway on the Kansas side, and I'm a little partial to the Kansas side because we're on the Kansas side. But anyway, I digress. I'm having a squirrel moment. But yes, we're very lucky in the Kansas City area in that we've got a lot of very cool game stores located out here and a lot of game groups. And we've got several different conventions. We just got done with a big one called KantCon, and there's another one here in November called Meeplathon. And I'll have a separate video to talk about that, but I'd encourage you to take a look at it. It's going to be big, just as big, if not bigger than KantCon. It's going to be in the same location, the Overland Park Convention Center. And yeah, I'd recommend. I'll put a link to it in the show notes of this video. Head on over there to get some details about it. But what I wanted to do is talk about my experience at KantCon. This was my very first KantCon. In fact, my very first big Kansas convention, Kansas City convention, that is. And boy, did I have a good time. I've lived in the area for about 20 years. KantCon's been going on since 2009. And so it's nearing 20 years. And this is my first one. And why? Well, many that know me will know that I suffer from anxiety and depression. I don't want to focus on that, but it's hard for me to get out, believe it or not, unless I get to know somebody very well and I feel comfortable in that environment, which is ironic because I've been going to Gen Con for a great many years, and I'll probably have a video about Gen Con. Gen Con's a different experience, though. It's all about more shopping and big crowds and not so much bumping into people and spending a lot of time with them other than the people that you may go with. At CanCon, I knew it would be a different experience, and in local cons because there's not so much of that grandiose crowd. There's not so much of the selling. It's more about the experience of gaming together and spending good quality time with people. And for that, I get a little anxious. And so I was very apprehensive to go to my first CantCon. And a good friend of mine, Nick Seal, who was on the board, reached out to me and convinced me to go. And boy, am I happy I did. So I'd like to transition to more about what the convention's about and the different things that go on there, and to talk about just the wonderful experience I had. All right, so this was day one. This was as I was getting ready to go into the convention hall. This is, I don't know if you'd consider it the front or the back of the convention center. But anyway, yeah, this is the Overland Park Convention Center. Okay, and then this registration, always a friendly staff. The procession through registration went very quick, was very well organized. They had some really cool handouts, some swag per se, and just greeted with friendly smiles and just a wonderful experience checking in. Very well organized, and it was a pretty long line coming in, but they got through it pretty quick. This it says day two, but yeah, there's the dragon, the kind of similar to I guess maybe the Gen Con logo. They have a drag CantCon. Their big logo is a dragon. And here's another shot coming into registration up on the second floor. Most of the convention was on the second floor. It had grown past that. It wasn't always at the Overland Park Convention Center, but over time it's grown, and there was actually some overflow downstairs as you came up, and I've got some pictures to talk about that. But that's just some general pictures of the convention center. I wanted to also talk about the booths and a lot of the different things that they had going on, as well as some of the things just that were going on as you walk through. There were a lot of gaming tables, and believe it or not, on some of the hot days, busy days, I mean, it was a hot time of year, but on a lot of the busy days, these tables were all full. This was day one towards the beginning of the convention. This is a very good friend of mine, Father Andrew. He is a big miniatures fan, and in fact, he paints and does a wonderful job. He has his own YouTube channel. I believe it's Crafts and Minis. I'll have to put a link in there as well to take a look at Father Andrew. But he's here, I think, playing. I don't think he knew I took this picture of him. He was playing some miniatures games. That's him. One of the really cool things that they had going on during the convention was they had, in fact, Meeplathon was sponsoring it. They had a paint station or a big paint station. I wish I would have taken some more pictures of it. I say paint station, but it was comprised of a lot of, or composed of a lot of different tables and spots where people could be painting their minis. And this was one that Father Andrew had done. And then here's some booths, and it wasn't all just specifically focused on gaming. It was gamings and crafts and fantasy paraphernalia. This was just one of the some of the stuff they had for sale. And boy howdy, I wish I would have taken advantage of this. They even had a massage booth there. Take a look at that people could go and take advantage of. And you see a little bit of the things for sale there. It looks like maybe some, I don't know, some keychains or some paraphernalia there, some books. There was a lot of local booths and people selling a ton of different stuff other than just board games. In fact, there wasn't a lot of people. I was surprised there wasn't a lot of people set up to actually sell board games, although there was something really cool there I'll talk about here in just a little bit. Here's some more painting that was going on. And there was just a ton of 3D terrain all throughout the convention and people teaching role-playing games and selling some terrain and I was just really surprised at some of the setups that they had throughout the convention. This is Troy Pickelman, I want to say. I might be pronouncing that wrong or incorrectly. He is a local designer in the Kansas City area and has quite a few designs himself. I'm hoping that I can get an interview with him here fairly soon. And he's got some really good games that he's designed that are out there. He's helps lead one of the Kansas City design groups here in the area that is very popular. Some more, another shot of the Red Raspberry booth. And again, some more painting. You can see several tables set up, a ton of different paints going on. Yeah, and little kids having fun painting. I wish I was good at painting. I'm not a very good painter. My friends would tell me it doesn't take much to paint, but yeah, it does. And I wish I had the time and patience for it. More the patience. So here I wanted to kind of show some of the stuff that was going on downstairs. There was Midwest Game Fest. They're also a local convention that happens in the Kansas City area. It's up north and west of us a little bit. They had their own booth there. That's again some friendly people. I didn't get to spend much. I was running my own booth, which I had a board games with Rob booth there, and I was there pretty much 24/7. That's a really good shot of some of the booths downstairs. You can see the escalator there on the right that goes upstairs. There was a lot of overflow downstairs and some gaming rooms off to the left and some of the convention rooms on the left there. There you can see some more stuff for sale, some booths set up. There was a really cool booth that had some crochet items there. My daughter does crochet. She has her own little website and might be bringing some stuff at one of the next conventions. My daughter Anya. Now another thing that they had was a big raffle that was happening several times a day, or I think once or twice a day, and was going on every day. And there were a variety of different ways to get into the raffle: donations, volunteering, and there was some really good stuff that CantCon had acquired and people had donated to sell. All Play is a local publisher. They had provided a lot of stuff and so that one could get. Look at all those tickets. I don't even know if that I don't know if that was all one day or not. Here's some drawings that were going on and a crowd of people waiting to see what tickets were pulled. You can see some of the games. They had like bundles that were being raffled off. So there was some all play bags and some games. There's a copy of Woodcraft, sealed, all sealed copies of some really hot games. Some more raffle items, not just games, but some paraphernalia from some of the booths that people were donating to get into the raffle. Some gaming books and some gaming paraphernalia. So that was a pretty hot thing that was going on during KantCon. Now, I happen to have a real prime spot. I was towards the back of the convention, but right next to the garage sale. And boy, was that a hopping place. The garage sale was just full of games that people brought and wanted to sell, and proceeds were provided to KantCon to help be able to put this on in the future. But there were some really good deals that, and there's my friend Nick there right in the front, Nick Seal. There were some really good deals that you could get at the garage sale and tons of games. So although there weren't a lot of people selling games, there was plenty of opportunities to buy games, and not just there were a lot of current games in there and some really good deals. I mean, some of it was high priced, but eventually the prices might come down throughout the con, but the here's some of the staff checking people out. Now this was at the well that picture there, that was the checkout booth for the play to win in the library, which I'll get to here in a moment. But here again was more of the library item, or I'm sorry, of the garage sale items. Here's more. I mean, there's Empires of the Void I see right there. That's a pretty neat game. Cleopatra, the deluxe big box, some oldies but goodies. All Play had put in a bunch of stuff. They had Galactic Cruise copies there. I mean, look at all those games. Sheriff of Nottingham, that's an older one. Heavy. So they had some hard to find games in here. Islebound, Catan, plenty of versions of Catan, some older versions of Axis and Allies there. Horrified. Now this, I believe, okay, yeah, we're transitioning into the library. So this was the huge library that they had, and you can see that it was well labeled. You have like cooperative games there, you have modern complexity games. The table that you're seeing right there in front were play to win games, and this was kind of unique, and I think it's pretty popular at some other conventions where you register a game, you play it, and then your name goes in towards the end of the convention to win the game. And so they'll have drawings of everybody that played the game, and somebody who actually took the time to register it or check it out and play it could possibly win it at the end of the convention. That's the back of the garage sale. Garage sale items, I believe. Yep, because they've got tags on that. Just look at all those garage sale. El Burro. Now, speaking of the play to win, here was the play to win table. Some more of the games, and there were some recent games in there. I had actually won a game at the play to win. It was First in Flight. It's an airplane game that has a rondelle, fairly new. I haven't even had a chance to play it, but believe it was new at Gen Con last year. But off to the right is the library of games, and it's a huge library that they've got. So that was really popular, to play the win area as well as the library. So there were plenty of opportunities to check out games. So the video wouldn't be complete without talking about some of the friendly staff that they had there and some of the friends I got to make through the course of the convention. This is Courtney and her husband Ewell, very good friends that I got to game with after the convention. This is Danae, and something sweet about her. She was among other things responsible for helping set up all the booths and who was going to be where. And I was very late to get into the convention and get a table there, and she was so kind and got me such a wonderful spot right where there was a lot of traffic back by the library and the garage sale. Just very sweet and a very fun person to get to know. This is Angela. I got to game with her afterwards again at a volunteer game night. Again, people that I would see all throughout the convention, busier than all get out. Looks like she was leading some sort of a Jenga tournament, maybe. This is a picture of Bobby and Courtney. Now, Bobby is somebody that I met at the con, also somebody that I got to game with afterwards at the volunteer party. Bobby was just a really cool person, someone that I really enjoyed gaming with. I got to play quite a few games with him at the volunteer party, and he was just there every single day helping out a ton of people. And Courtney there with a big smile. I mean, running a mile a minute, but always with a smile on their face. So yeah, the stat. I mean, there might have been a million things that went wrong behind the scenes, but you'd never know. It just ran really smoothly thanks to the staff. And then last but not least, I wanted to focus kind of on my booth that I had. And you can see it's right there by the garage sale. And this is my good friend John. He taught me Grand Austria Hotel, which is such an awesome game. I put something out about trying to teach the teach. Typically, I'm teaching a game every week on Wednesday nights in Olathe. And I was asking people that had knowledge of games that I wanted to play that I had maybe gotten rid of or wanted to play, invited them to come by the booth and teach me. And John was one of the very first people to come and teach me Grand Austria Hotel. And man, that was such a good game. I really enjoyed it. Next up to teach me a game was Griffin. Now he came by and taught Altiplano, which, my gosh, was another fantastic game. I liken it, well, it's by the same designer that apparently did Orleans, and it's another bag builder. Great game. I actually didn't get to finish the game. Some people came by to play, and I was teaching a game and never got to finish it, but great game. Loved it. Oh, this is my good friend Luis. He's up north and he has or belongs to a game group up there. We got to play somewhere in here. Yep, we got to play Bot Factory, which is a light Lacerda game and a game that I really enjoy. Luis came down to he brought his family down to my game group a couple weeks ago. Great person, fun to game with, really, really good guy. Going back here, I hate when I do this on my phone. I'll take a picture. I like to take pictures of my game experiences, and sometimes on my phone I'll have it on the wrong setting, and when it's on a small phone screen, I can't tell that it's um, I can't tell that it's not focused the right way. So it's anyway. This was a game of Tea Garden that I taught to a bunch of people. That is, I can't remember his name. The board games and banters and board games, folks. That's him in the back there, and then a good friend of mine, Jeff, which named Jeff, which I'll get to here in just a little bit. Yeah, there's the banters and board games. He took a very nice video of the convention, and man, it was really good. This was a game session I taught of Earth and had a lot of help in teaching Earth. I was splitting my time between this and another game. You can see the stack of games I had brought to teach there, or maybe have taught to me at the other end of the table. But this had the deluxe components of Earth from my friends at Inside Up Games. And you can I took some pictures of the deluxe components there. They're just really, really neat. Looks gorgeous when it's all laid out on the table. Look at that. The game's almost done. The game ends there when you have a 4x4 grid out. And again, just some more pictures of that game there. It's just gorgeous. All right, another game of Tea Garden, and these are some good friends of mine. That's Curtis there in the back, and his girlfriend Stephanie, and my friend Troy. I just taught them Tea Garden, which is a wonderful game. It's one of three games that the designer did. He has also done Galileo Galilei as well as SETI all on this year. Just Tea Garden is a fantastic game. I love it. I really enjoy teaching it. And then my good friends, Father Kent, Father Andrew, and David, we were playing Kalamala, and it's a game from my friends at Alley Cat Games. And this is the deluxe version. And this is just such a fantastic worker placement game with cascading actions and just variable setup and very easy to teach. Great game, wonderful friends, wonderful experience. I got my butt beat very badly. Then Tapestry, or Tapestry. I actually won this game, although Father Kent almost came up and beat me on it. But this is another game that I wanted to be taught. It was in my shelf of shame, and Father Kent taught it, and I just love this game from Stonemaier. I went out after this and bought the other expansion or two that I was missing, and it's supposed to be a civilization game. It is lightly civilization bound, but you're moving up tracks and placing things out on the board and just a lot of different mechanisms going on, but a beautiful game and very, very fun. This one, Tyrants of Underdark, another one that I hadn't played and was taught. This is a really good deck building game, but it's a take that. I typically don't like take that games, but this is, if you know what you're getting into, it's fun. I like the universe. I really like the Drow and D&D in general. And this has got a bunch of different decks you can play with. Again, deck building, you're trying to take over and maintain territories. It's area control, and it was a fun experience. I lost, but I had fun losing. It was a great game. A lot of people this one's a popular game with a lot of people, and I will admit it is fun, but I just have to be in the mood to play it because again, I don't really care for Take That. All right, this was an amazing time and one of my highlights of the convention. Steve, a friend of mine, had brought over Ezra and Nehemiah, which is just a fantastic worker placement, heavy Euro game, all about building the walls of Jerusalem after they had been torn down, along with all these other different things going on, building the temple and all these different tracks, and just such a wonderful game. One that I had uh, been on my shelf of shame for quite some time, and I didn't win, but it was. I don't think I came in last though. I think I was second to last, but it was just such an amazing experience and a game that I absolutely adore. So a big shout out to Steven and thank you for playing that and more so teaching it. Here's a picture of the board and all the different things that are going on. You can see a player board. All right, this was another group of friends, and there's Louise and his wife there, and then a very good friend of mine, Bo, and his girlfriend Brooke. They are very close friends of mine. They live up north. I get to game with them every once in a while. They had come by the convention, and I was teaching House of Fado, which is another light Lacerda game, all themed on musicians and Fado musicians, and uh, just a great game and very, very, very well themed. Worker placement at the heart. Light Lacerda. Lacerda is known for heavy mechanics, heavy Euro mechanics. This one is light and just a ton of fun to play. But more importantly, it's was Bo and Brooke. I was so happy to meet them and have them in my life and gaming with them. Great people. Here's a little picture of the Lacerda game. And again, a wonderful job I did at taking a picture of another game I was helping to teach, which is Finspan. It's hard to tell there, but this was another one of the board games with Rob with my booth right there in the background. Another one that didn't do the best job at focusing on the game, ironically, but all the people, which is probably a feature of the game. This was one of the last demos, or second to last demos I did during the week, and this was Heat. And there's Jeff right behind me, good friend of mine. I spent a lot of time with him over that weekend. Again, more about him here shortly. And there's the board. Heat is a deck building game. Well, yeah, light deck building. You don't add any cards to it once the game starts, but it's a deck game, a card game where you're playing cards and using them to go around a track. Oh, great game. In the footsteps of Darwin, there's Jeff and my good friend Sarah. This is a very light game, but there's so much strategy in it with it being such a light game. And it just came out with an expansion that I got, and it adds, it's a great expansion. I think it's something about correspondence, I believe, is the expansion. It's a must have if you like the game. And then this was the last game of the con that I taught. This was Path of Civilization. This is a fantastic game that I think flew well under the radar. It's a this one you're not really building a deck because you're shedding cards at the same time, but it's a civilization game, but it's all around focusing on triggering different tracks and placing cubes out and purchasing cards and action selection. It's just a really unique game and a fabulous one at that. This was just a shot of my booth and my sign, Board Games with Rob. And here was House of Fado being played by my good friends. There's Luis and then Brooke and Bo. And that was it. So one of the things I wanted to mention when I talk about a lot of the highlights that I had, uh, all of them were centered around spending time with people and with friends and meeting new people. One of the people that I met and got to spend a lot of time was Jeff Pritchett. Now Jeff is and his daughter are the designers of a really cute game. I'm going to put a link in the show notes as well for Oopsie Poopsie. It's a light card game and a family game. I'd really recommend you go take a look at it. Again, I'll put the link in the notes. But more importantly, I wanted to speak about Jeff. He had come down to spend time at KantCon. He brought copies of his games to sell, but I got to spend a lot of time with him, game with him, and get to know him, and talk about somebody that you meet and just instantly bond with. One of the biggest highlights of the entire con was an act of kindness that Jeff did that I wanted to kind of brag about him or kind of put him in the shop light to just show the selflessness that he expressed. There was a game that has been on my radar for a really long time, and it's very important to me because I share a bond with my father who passed away in 2015 with magic. My father was a magician. He did card tricks, and there's a whole story with that I won't bore you with right now. But it was a bond that we both shared, and I've been wanting to get this game for a long time, but I couldn't afford the collector's edition. And they had a copy of this in the garage sale. And I had just kind of mentioned it to Jeff and about the experience and the tie with my father that the game had. And I came home, or I was getting ready to go into to get ready to drive into the convention either Saturday or Sunday morning. And there's a box sitting at the kitchen table that he brings in and says, "Hey, you forgot to get this box." And I opened it up thinking it was probably some of the copies of his game that we had to bring in, but it was Tricerian. Jeff had gone in and purchased this from the garage sale, and I'm not going to open up the whole box, but as much as I want to, because this isn't about Tricerian, it's about Jeff, and I've got a picture of his family there. It's a little older picture. His daughter's grown up a bit since then, but that's his beautiful wife, and I've not met very many people that would do such a selfless act. Um, and I had put him up in my house, and instead of him getting a hotel room, I opened up my doors to him, but I wasn't expecting anything in return. And out of the kindness of his heart, when I'm sure he could have been buying more board games for himself, he had gone in and purchased this for me. And I need to stop talking about it because I'm going to get teary-eyed and I don't want to do that publicly right now. But it was Jeff. If you're watching this, thank you again from from the bottom of my heart. This was very kind, and and this kindness is all one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video. CantCon, I'd put it off or going to a convention 20 years. Now, I've been in the board game industry for 20 years, maybe 14, 15 of that. I got into the industry as a way of bonding with my children, and it grew from there. But the biggest and most fun experiences of the conventions were spending times with John, with Stephen, with Griffin, people that spent time coming to teach me something. They wanted to spend time with me and teach me a game. They wanted to learn a new game and be taught something. I met a ton of new friends and Jeff and getting to spend time with him, and then more importantly, Nick, the one of the board members and one of the head honchos over there at CantCon. Somebody that it's a very long story that I won't talk about publicly. Nick knows it, but what it was a friendship meant to be, and one that I'm so humbled to have. And I'm kind of going on and on, but I guess the whole moral of the story and the whole reason I wanted to put this video together was to talk about the heartfelt, wonderful experience I had at KantCon and how you can go from something like a Gen Con, which is a memorable experience, and but it's one where you're going out. Yes, you're meeting new people, you're bumping into people that you won't see for your year. You're going out and get hotness, but I would almost rather do a CantCon and experience the memories that I had there than a Gen Con because they're more heartfelt and they're more meaningful and they're memories that I'm going to carry for the rest of my life. And one of the reasons that I'll be going to more, and I'll be going to Meeplathon. I will have a booth there. I'll have some videos up about that. But anyway, to all those that spent time coming to my booth to learn some games and spend some time with me, I want to say thank you. If you happen to see me at a future convention, please drop by. Let me teach you a game. Or teach me when you tell me about one of your favorite games. Maybe in the comments, let me know about some of your favorite games. I have a weekly group that I am part of that I lead every Wednesday night in the Olathe area on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Would love it if you're in the area or you're passing through to come join me and our group. We've got close to 20 people that come every week, and that's growing. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but we have a great time. So that's it. That's my CantCon 2025 experience. This video is probably a little bit longer than I was originally intending it to be, but it's my very first CantCon, and so I wanted to do it justice and just to the staff of CantCon and all the volunteers that spent a really long time prepping for it, for taking care of us and putting on a wonderful show. I want to say a heartfelt thank you. This was very memorable for me, and you did a really good job, CantCon 2025. So, for Board Games with Rob, to you, have a wonderful time gaming and be kind to everyone. Bye.